Hi, this is Andrea Warner, one of the hosts of Pop This. I'm just here to let you know that we at Pop This are still in our holiday schedule. This means we're alternating between new episodes and classics from the vaults from now through the end of September. This gives our team a bit of time to recharge, but it also gives you a chance to listen or re-listen to some of our all-time favorite episodes. Today we're bringing you part 2 of an encore presentation of an episode that's been the source of one of our most contentious disputes. Eat, Pray, Love. Is it a better movie than Under the Tuscan Sun? We released part 1 of this episode a couple weeks ago, so go back and listen to that if you haven't. We taped both episodes in 2017, and if you listen closely, you can actually hear the fact that we are all younger and way more innocent back then. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be back again with new episodes next week.
You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
It's often a lot easier to make friends when you're younger.
Yes.
So Jerry Seinfeld has a bit where he talks about how when you are a kid, you look outside, there's someone standing on your yard, they like ice cream, you're best friends. That's all you need to have in common. Proximity and a thing.
Yeah.
I like ice cream too, you're on my lawn, we're best friends.
Yeah.
Things become more complicated. You start to have particular interests. You have a job, you have a life, you've got to accommodate friends. And so you maybe tend to hold on to those friends you had early on, maybe not quite the yard ice cream days.
Yeah.
Something more, early 20s sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And you hold on to those friends and you might not make some new ones. Do you find that?
No. So
Okay.
No, I mean, I do have a lot of those friends. But I don't know. Like, I have always had a pretty easy time making friends. Like, and I'm really grateful for that. I literally just this past year had a woman come up to me at a party that we'd been chatting with, and she was like, hey, I moved here a few years ago. I don't really know anybody that well. You seem cool. Can we be friends? And I was like, of course we can. Like,
Wow.
no problem. And I was so charmed
And now
by
you're
that.
married.
Yeah.
That's not where this is going?
That's not where it's going.
Okay.
No,
All right.
but I was
Okay.
really charmed by that because she's just like, she just asked for what she needed, and I could either say yes or no, and I said yes, and she was like, okay, well, but for real, we can exchange phone numbers, and we'll actually go for lunch in a few weeks, and I was like, yeah, sure. Sounds
Now,
great.
how would you, of all people, fit that in?
Me, I did.
I'm not saying that I phone you and you brush me off or something.
No, I know.
But that you've got.
But I did. Just recently, I went into a bar in Seattle and made friends with the bartender, and she again was the pursuant in this particular scenario.
But she's in Seattle.
She's in Seattle, yeah. But I really like her. Her name's Mary. So I went into this bar just thinking they have skee ball, and it's called The Rabbit Hole. Alice in Wonderland's one of my favorite movies, favorite books of all time. This bar is right up my alley. Plus, I love skee ball. Skee ball is my favorite thing.
Which is skee ball?
Skee ball is where you roll the ball up the little thing, and it's got the round circles,
Right.
and then you score
really?
points.
I didn't know that was a really thing to do.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite things, and I didn't get to do it at the Peony this year, which is the fair we have here.
Yes.
So I wanted to go play some skee ball, and I walk in, and she sees that I have a sticker to a museum on my shirt, and so she just immediately was like, oh my God, tell me about your experience at the museum. So I told her all about my experience. She told me all about her experience. We bonded hardcore over everything. She, within 90 seconds, had bought Carlos and I shots that she did with us. So we all did shots of whiskey together. And then we chatted for another 10 minutes. She introduced me to a new gin that I'd never tried before.
Wow.
It was so good. I can't remember the
You really
name of
bonded
it right
over
now.
alcohol is what I'm hearing.
No, but then we got into these bigger discussions. So she's going to be doing some moderating 2 panels at Girl Geek Con in Seattle at the first weekend, September 30th, October 1st. And she was like, you have to come, please, because we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman. And she's doing one panel on Wonder Woman and then another panel on tropes of gendered AI And it's like how basically like most artificial intelligence is sort of gendered to be male or boys, but they're all also then further like weirdly complicatedly gendered through like tropes about women. So they're like yeah. So or they're all like anyway, there's a lot of different things. So she's super
you really
interested
did
in like
make a friend.
No, she's like super interested in like science, like fiction, nerd culture, and feminism and gender. And so like she
check.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. We just like hit it off so well, and it was so nice. And then I also hugged a woman wearing a Golden Girls shirt about half an hour later because I was
that can be a really good icebreaker when you see somebody wearing a shirt.
Yeah. That
is like, I saw a man in Hawaii wearing a shirt that said, "Yes, I know the guacamole's extra."
Oh yeah. You love yes. That's absolutely.
I wish I'd walked up to him. It would have been extremely awkward because that was the best shirt I've ever seen, and it changed my life. I didn't know anyone else.
You still think about it to this day.
I do.
Yeah.
And I think a shirt is a perfect icebreaker. So if you happen to be one of the people that's, having trouble, maybe you moved, it's hard to meet some friends.
Honestly, like I understand like vulnerability is a
right.
total,
And you're just coming out of your comfort circle and all that. But using a shirt as an icebreaker. This is going to be a person you're probably going to like. And you can walk right up to them and your first line could be, "I love your shirt."
Yeah. Or just like you see something that like you have in common and like you approach people with some commonalities. Like everyone's out in the world kind of a little bit alone. Like even if they're surrounded by people, they're a little bit alone somehow, some way. And I just think, I don't know, not to get to like, arms across America kind of nonsense about it, but like everyone wants to be friends.
They do. But strangely, I was just noting something in my head.
Yeah.
That when you watched Sex and the City, the friendship only worked when Carrie was with them.
Well,
you never really saw Miranda and like Samantha hanging out. It was weird.
You did sometimes.
But it didn't feel right.
It didn't feel as right. But I mean, that's because the show is centered on Carrie.
I know, but it just all of a sudden...
She's like this conduit for like everybody else.
Yeah, it just felt all of a sudden I was just, for some really dumb reason, that occurred to me.
But I do, like, honestly, like, people that I've introduced, they are friends independent of me now on their own.
Wow.
And they hang out and they do stuff.
You're like the middle of that spoke wheel. Like, there's probably some name for you in, like, sociological circles.
I mean...
That you bring people together.
Yeah, I mean, that's my
it is.
my
You're
dream
very good
scenario.
at it.
I like to just, like, bring people together and introduce people, and hopefully they become friends.
Yeah, no, it's you could do it as a service.
I would love to.
You know how they have like matchmakers, but you could be friend maker.
Friend makers, yeah. No, I'd love to. That'd be super fun. I have to put it on the back burner for now. I got a couple other things.
Because you're busy. You're very busy, and we have a very important task that I feel like we're speaking around, so we don't have to get to it.
Oh, I want to do it so bad. I want in.
If you listen to our last podcast, you will know that we set up a fantastic battle royale between two films that take us on journeys into the heart of a woman.
We are talking about Eat, Pray, Love versus Under the Tuscan Sun.
Well, you probably guessed that, though.
Well, of course, when you said that.
Journey of a woman into her.
Yeah, we're going to debate the best, and this is, a white woman on a journey of self-discovery movie based on a memoir.
That old genre.
Yeah,
that old. Yeah. And in fact, there's probably a lot in that. I mean,
there's a lot now.
Just mentioned Sex and the City, and isn't that what that is?
Ultimately, yes.
That's ultimately what it is because she's a writer.
And that predates Under the Tuscan Sun. Except she didn't like go to a different place. So she's working within the place that she lives.
Yes, but New York's a big city.
It is. And I mean, I don't think either of these women arguably are necessarily on sexual journeys of self-discovery, though sex is involved.
Sex is involved.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I have to argue that Eat, Pray, Love is the better film, and you have to argue that Under the Tuscan Sun is the better film.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah,
I'm going to say, for sure, I feel you have the easier job.
Well, I do have an easier job, but that said, I feel a certain charity toward not just your quest, but also for women.
Yep.
In that in that, women, we struggle with always being likable. Like it's an
we've
important
talked about
quality that we think we need to have. We are afraid to offend people. We're afraid to say no to things we don't want to do because they think maybe they won't like us. We're afraid to be, too successful, too brash, too anything.
Yeah.
Because we don't want people to feel intimidated by us, right?
Like
and all of these
thanks,
things.
patriarchy and internalized sexism. This is what has wrought. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, obviously, Under the Tuscan Sun's heroine, Frances, is easier to defend because she is such a sad sack. And we want desperately to see the person embodying all of those things. We know that she's just begging for a makeover.
Yeah.
We know underneath all the drab clothing that she constantly wears is as my mother would say, a beautiful figure. With a beautiful smile and luscious hair.
Well, she's played by Diane Lane.
She's played by Diane Lane. But they frumpify.
They do frumpify,
There's a big
for sure.
frumpification onto Frances, not just in her clothing, her posture, her words that come out of her mouth, her scowly, sad face that is always a little bit, no one can see me right now, but you can hear, why is there a thunder and lightning storm right now? Why?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's snowing and I have no roof. Why?
Yeah. To be fair,
bad.
Those sound like legitimate concerns.
Those sound like legitimate concerns. But so I would say, for me, it's easier to defend my story because definitely we want Frances to succeed. We know what it looks like for her to succeed. We know that Frances is a sad, jilted woman who had felt that she had no options, took herself all the way to Tuscany from San Francisco, bought a ruined home, successfully, through some Polish laborers, managed to reconstruct this home and herself.
Yeah. So...
Right?
So,
that's easy. We want her to succeed. We are rooting for Frances at every turn. We are not rooting for Elizabeth.
We are not rooting for Elizabeth.
Because we don't even know what we're rooting for. We don't know what success looks like for Frances. For Elizabeth at all. I don't even know if in the book or in the movie at any time is it laid out for us what she is trying to accomplish.
Well, So, here's the thing with Elizabeth Gilbert is that, I have not a lot of external understanding of her culturally outside of this film. So this is to me, as I'm watching this movie, I'm getting so angry. I'm writing in all caps. I'm thinking and I'm fighting with myself the whole freaking time. Her big crisis is that she wants out of a marriage. Her other, the biggest moments of sort of challenge to her is a small montage of buying larger pants in Italy.
Because she's actually eating food.
Because she's eating food. I literally...
And she's not.
No.
She is not.
No. And I am so mad. And most of my notes are, this is so boring and self-indulgent in all caps the whole time.
And the issue is, here's the weird part too, is that so she leaves her husband, she goes to Italy, she gets the eat part, right? Those 4 months of learning to cook food and enjoy food and meet people who like food and do all of that. And then strangely, the second half seems to be learning how to reconcile the first part of the story.
Yeah,
So she's learning how to pray to let herself out of the guilt she feels for ending her marriage. That's weird.
It's a lot of things. And the people that she meets are almost uniformly either awful or lovely, but they're all stereotypes no
of
matter
damaged
what.
people and
they're all stereotypes. Watching Julia Roberts eat and try to be coy at the same time is one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had in my whole life, because like she makes this sort of, I don't know, I'm just.
Is it her mouth?
It's something. It's something about the way I hate it. She says at one, I know I'm going back to like, so there's a little girl pictured at one point who gives up her middle finger in Naples, and I was like, it's me. That's how I feel about this film.
You're meant to be defending this.
I know, and I'm getting there.
I don't know how we're getting there.
She says this line because I have to sort of go into the things I hate to really show you the journey of how I've worked through some of these things.
Okay.
She says, I have no interest in being obese. At one point, Elizabeth Gilbert says this. And then we lead into the pants montage. I mean, this is a movie, I think, that actually really hates women. And I also thought, okay, well, maybe I just hate Elizabeth Gilbert because she's so deeply convinced of her own value. And that's where I turned around and thought, well, wait a minute. Why do I hate a movie about a woman who is implicitly convinced that she has value? When there are so many of us that spend our lives trying to realize that we have any value whatsoever.
No, this is good because this is the realization I came to as well in having to compare the two stories, right?
Yes. Let me suggest.
Like, here we go to old Frances. No, I have no value. I have no value. I have no value. And the only time she starts to feel any value is when other people give it to her. Thank you for putting me up in your house. Thank you for letting me have a wedding here. Thank you for... That's the only way that we're watching Frances get value.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm crapping on a film where a woman is telling people, I don't need you to tell me what makes me important.
Well, but see, I don't think that that's actually what it tells us. I think that this film tells us that she absolutely needs a bunch of other people to tell her that she's important to them, because that is how she sort of acquires her value. But she is not, like, her self-esteem.
But she doesn't want that.
No, but she does. Like, she does. Like,
well,
she does,
like we all do. But
like,
I mean,
she does. But like, she's lying. She lies to herself literally all the time. Like, that's all she does throughout, I think, most of this film, is lie to herself about why she's at places. What I'm positing that, like, is narcissism to this extent actually a radical act? Is self-indulgence a radical act when it comes from a woman? Because we've spent so much time. Like, I understand that she is an awful person. I understand that there are a lot of really terrible things in this film. There's that colonialism we talked about. Every person is a collection of stereotypes. She uses everybody all the time. But if this character was a man, we would be applauding this idea that she goes on this journey of self-discovery.
They usually make those movies when they go out into the woods.
Oh, they either go out into the woods or they screw their way across a country.
Yeah.
She screws her way around the world as well.
Yeah.
Like, is there something to be applauded about self-indulgence as a radical act?
Well, sure. And I think that's because the feedback she received from a lot of women was very much about, I needed to see you doing this to give myself permission to go on a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah, and there is definitely absolutely an argument to be made that this is a movie that literally only inspires white women to radical acts of self-indulgence, and we are already relatively empowered compared to women of color. And I agree that is an argument for sure that exists. But in terms of defending Eat, Pray, Love,
but then she
versus Under the Tuscan Sun,
yeah.
I think that this is. I think
yes,
there's something
fair.
to be said about
that's
like.
Fair.
Just,
and then we do watch her make a transformation, which by the time she gets to Bali, her interests are helping the woman to purchase a home.
Yes,
I know where we're going to say that this is.
Again, this is very self-serving for her.
It is very self-serving for her.
She feels good because
she tells everyone not to send her gifts. Why were they sending her gifts? Was it her birthday?
It was her birthday.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and she literally just sends an email blast out to all of these people, all of these rich people that she's friends with, who give her $17,000.
In 2000 and what? 10.
Whenever
that was $1 million, by the way. Now
That's when the film happens. Like, whenever she wrote the book.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there is not a single moment in this movie where Elizabeth Gilbert does not come off as just the worst. Like, really, just the worst person.
Yet, she makes these wonderful friendships with people.
I mean, does she?
Well,
she's always in this position of power.
Did you not like Richard Jenkins at the ashram?
No, I had
calling her groceries all the time.
I did not have a lot of. That's just another character that's like, oh, just this like barfly dude who.
When he broke down and told the story about why he was there.
Oh, I actually cried.
Oh yeah, that was
sure.
Yes,
but. Because I think he's a good actor, not because the character in any way is anything more than yet another facilitation by Elizabeth Gilbert.
Well, what it ended up doing in the film anyway was making her look like an even bigger SHIT.
Oh no, I know. Like that's the thing. Like
honestly, what this man has to reckon with every single day of his life. By the way, that's running over his own son in a drunk driving accident.
He didn't actually run him over.
No, okay, but almost. But
like I laughed so hard when I thought about that. Like if that moment actually happened and they're sitting on this roof, like already, I mean, you've got all of these the detail that the ashram is already full of white people looking for their centered meanings.
I can't sing here, but I would sing Alanis Morissette's "Thank You, India." Now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's already sort of this like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But like, I guess the where I think that where her journey, like nothing at any point does. No event at any point actually causes her to ever decenter herself from her own.
No, but
that's the thing.
But this is a movie and a story about her journey.
No, I know
her own journey. So if it became another movie, then we would have to stop watching it and turn to something else.
but all of these people, like the Richard Jenkins, she's sitting there hearing this horrific story. She does not really Julia Roberts doesn't really react. Like she's sitting with a sort of look on her face of somewhat sympathy.
Yes.
But she doesn't really have a normal reaction to hearing that story is wild sort of sadness and horror.
Yeah.
She gives nothing to Richard
All
Jenkins.
she does is imagine this fictitious apology to her husband with that dance. That was the grossest part of the movie.
This is awful. Awful. He's unloading
that's me retching.
this journey but I had to sit there and be like, oh my God. I understand that this woman's values do not mirror mine in the least. But I ultimately had to realize with myself that what I was feeling is yes, contempt for her values because I just don't have them. I don't share them. But there is something that would be so powerful if I believed in my own importance to the same extent. Now, not to the same actual narcissist, because I feel like she actually is a narcissist. And I don't have a degree. I'm not, I can't.
Yes.
I can't make the assumption. But it's kind of weirdly inspiring to see someone so focused.
It is, because then if we contrast it with Frances in Under the Tuscan Sun, it's a constant series of beat her down. Yeah. Always. It is just when she meets that, as you say, the meet cute with the hot Italian guy in the city.
Yeah.
And they have this whirlwind evening or 2 days, or I couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
And then she's back, and when she gets back, she finds her friend Patty's there pregnant. And then dude phones her again to go out, and she can't because she's busy. And that's it for him. He's out.
No, but
I know. No, the point was when she did meet up with him again,
yeah.
He said, "You didn't put me first.
No, I know.
I needed you to focus on me. No judgment here.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
I need, really,
But I was so appalled that she journeys all this way and she's like, oh, I'm meeting my boyfriend. They had sex maybe twice.
Yeah, exactly.
In one night.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Frances?
And that
Come
scene.
on.
I know, and that scene, there's just a couple of cheesy moments in this that when she picks up the kitten on on that little balcony in his shirt, I was just, what is this, an ad for a new Estee Lauder fragrance or something?
It's an embarrassment, honestly. It's an actual embarrassment. Plus, I just found him to be really patronizing. He says,
he's an Italian.
The line down. No, I mean,
supposed to be some stereotypical machismo Italian.
Yeah,
man.
again, that like stereotype nonsense.
Yes.
But like, just before we get to that point, I had made a note. This movie is so long, and then he says, "There's someone for you." She's Diane freaking Lane. Of course, there's someone for her.
Yes.
Like no matter how much you
Yes,
frumpify.
but to be fair, I know, but she is so.
But like, come on! Like as much as you want to frumpify this person,
no,
it's
I
still
know.
Diane Lane,
but this
so
was after her
patronizing.
makeover scene too.
Yeah, but like it's just so.
But then she
patronizing.
slumps back, blah 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 blah, back to Tuscany.
Yeah.
And well, I guess that's it, you know. And that particular scene, I have to say, was not resolved properly for me.
Yeah.
I can't quite reconcile with what it was trying to say to her.
Yeah.
Or the overall part of this film.
Oh, I have no idea.
So did she do the right thing? Ignoring him because she had to concentrate on her pregnant friend who just had a bad breakup?
Yeah.
Or should she have been, because this was her new life, this was her opportunity to start to say, a la Elizabeth Gilbert, sorry, I see what you're dealing with. Here are the keys. I'll see you because I'm heading back to Portofino or wherever that is.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
and I'm going to like do this guy until I'm bored. Like, I was not sure what that was trying to tell us.
I mean, I think it's trying to communicate that she's just a good person and
and you will be beaten for that?
Yes.
There's like some
honestly,
biblical Job thing happening here.
That's that whole movie, isn't
I know,
it?
and that's
like,
what... And as much as I say that that's an easier movie to defend because she's a better person.
Yeah.
She's a better person.
Yeah.
Maybe sitting around having a fabulous dinner with someone who's that selfless is boring, and hanging out with Elizabeth Gilbert who's all like, I'm out.
No,
it's more interesting. I don't know.
I would absolutely 100 million times rather hang out with Frances than I would rather than Elizabeth. I'm not like, this is so like this is such a weird one for me because I like so much more, like most of the characters in Under the Tuscan Sun are a little bit more generously evolved. Patty has an actual, like Viola Davis has so little to do.
But even that weird storyline with the neighbor kid getting married, what were they, like 12? I could never figure out an age.
Oh, well, I thought they were at least 20.
Did you?
I thought they were 20.
Why was the dad freaking out that his daughter would marry if she was 20?
Oh, well, maybe she was 18, but I didn't think that they were like 12. I thought.
Well, I mean, Romeo and Juliet age is probably not right.
Yeah.
They were like apparently 12.
But I mean,
right?
in Eat, Pray, Love,
yeah.
There wouldn't be anybody else in the world that was allowed to have sex. Like, it would only be that the young boy also wanted to get with Elizabeth Gilbert, and this other girl was crushed.
Yes.
Because her true love was gone. Like, I just...
It's complicated all around because what we're saying, like, you're right. It's all a little bit counterintuitive to who we've tried to evolve into as women.
It is. And, like, that's the thing. Like, so Under the Tuscan Sun comes out in 2003. Eat, Pray, Love's in 2010. Under the Tuscan Sun is generously reviewed. Like, Rotten Tomatoes, it's still around 63%.
Yeah, which is extremely fair. C plus B. Fair rating.
Totally fine. Eat, Pray, Love, 36%.
Yeah.
Everyone hated this movie. Like, there are some quotes that are, I just think, extraordinary. Elizabeth Gilbert is oh God, just so many different ways. There's like a big roundup of all of the critics not liking Eat, Pray, Love. Like essays about spoiled rich girl or brave woman.
But then, how heartbreaking is it to hear that someone says, aren't you worried your book is going to have people make a bunch of really bad art? That's quite heartbreaking.
It's kind of, like, I mean, I think that's like a jerk question.
It is.
And like her response was, first of all, you're an elitist a-hole. if that thought is even in your mind. And 2, my concern is not that there is too much bad expression in the world. My concern is that there isn't enough expression in the world. I'm such a populist. I want everybody to write a memoir. Now, that is, I think, one of those BS answers where she has carved that answer up at this point because she has to say something. Uh-huh. She has to say something. And I do agree. The question itself is like a terrible question.
Strangely.
Yeah.
Ironically, maybe.
Yeah.
The Brazilian man she does end up marrying.
Yeah.
Ex-wife did write a memoir.
Amazing.
No word
what
for
did
review.
Did she call it like Ex-Mrs.?
Yes.
Oh.
She sure did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's shocking to me. No, it's not. All of these people operate in this other world that I don't exist in.
No, exactly.
Like totally
I
fascinating
am going to go not on a limb and say that my memoir would be dull. I'm just going unless I decide to go on for the next 5 years, just really blast it out to get some really. I don't even know. Look, I don't know.
I mean, you deserve it if that's your journey.
Yeah, I'm quite content. I have no fears or sadness that I need to juice up my memoir. I'm just saying that I have no real need to write a memoir.
Yeah, like and that's, I mean, it's so weird to me that I really do believe, even though like I can obviously say that I like Under the Tuscan Sun more, I do believe that like Eat, Pray, Love is the actual better white woman on a journey of self-discovery book memoir movie.
I had a friend who read Wild, which have you read?
No. Wait, you're not gonna Footloose us, are you? You're just gonna like we talk about these 2 different things, and then you're just like all of a sudden, what about Flashdance? Why didn't we talk about that?
Well,
oh my God, you're gonna Flashdance us!
I didn't mean to. We can't debate 3 things. You can only take one on, but. You do know the story of Wild, don't you?
Yes, I am familiar with
That's her journey.
Cheryl Strayed,
Cheryl Strayed across the Pacific Coast Trail.
Yeah.
This is her own journey as well into herself. Uh-huh. And I had a friend say to me that he finished it and went, I didn't feel any stakes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which I did.
Yeah.
I did feel stakes in it. And... but he didn't. Now, I don't know if it's because it's a he and he didn't feel it. You've only seen the film, right? I've
not seen the film or read the book.
Well, okay.
You are going to Flashdance us, aren't you?
I would just say that our next episode should probably be Wild, is what I'm just going to say.
3 Reese Witherspoon vehicles in the space of like 15 episodes, and it's just our.
Oh, maybe we shouldn't.
We'll just wait for a little while.
Let's wait for a little while. Yeah. But I was just going to bring up that sort of idea of that particular story, which is very popular. Uh-huh. Of you confront some personal thing that you can't get from, so make an external adventure for yourself, or danger in the case of Wild.
Yeah. Well, okay, going back to Under the Tuscan Sun, we'll leave Wild for a future episode.
Yes.
So what do you like about Under the Tuscan Sun?
What do I like about it?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I guess I like it in the same way I just like any sort of fantasy. It didn't feel real. I know it's grounded in these are real things.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel real to me at all. It felt, light and superficial, and I felt a certain, kind of affinity for her and understood what she was looking for, but the whole thing just felt like caricatures and pretty things. So I felt the same way about it I do when I allow myself just to run through Pinterest, looking at recipes, looking at home decor, maybe look through some inspirational quotes.
Yep.
It sort of felt like a combination of all of those things.
Yeah.
And I felt just a sense after, like I had a nice light meal and on a nice day.
Yeah.
And the whole experience felt very pleasant.
Yeah.
But no real kind of, I learned something there.
So I'm just I'm gonna wager. So do you actually think that Under the Tuscan Sun is better than Eat, Pray, Love?
Yeah, in terms of, I mean, I think I enjoy watching it, and I didn't get a sense of frustration.
Yeah.
I felt watching Eat, Pray, Love, less so with the book, but more so with the movie. I felt a real, I was very angry at her. I didn't understand her life decisions.
Yeah.
And that's, again, going back to what you were saying, that's not my place to have to challenge her life decisions. We're different people.
Yeah.
We're going to make different... Whereas I felt Under the Tuscan Sun, the choices that she was making felt more in line of things I would do.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't feel, I am not a narcissist.
Yeah. Well, and like Under the Tuscan Sun, so one
Maybe
of the
that's
things...
a strong word. I don't feel that... I don't feel such a sense that I am going to fulfill a purpose constantly going inward into what I like. I don't even know what I like. It's why I'm really pleased Netflix at the bottom tells me what I might want to watch next. I appreciate that feature. I also appreciate, again, with Pinterest, going back to that, that when I open it up again, it remembers the last time I looked. So it gives me some new ideas on that front.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I want at all. And so, going back to what you said, you thought it was very reassuring to see someone who really does know. Like, that's very exciting.
It is, even though I hate her and I hate everything she wants.
Right, but I feel that. I feel that. Yeah. I feel like going even back to our earlier conversation about friendships.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the most exciting thing about having friends or being in relationships is that you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I like that. And if someone phones me and says, "Hey, I'm going to do this really dumb thing. Do you want to come?" Yes, I do. Whereas I feel like Elizabeth Gilbert would no. No, I don't. I don't need to help you on your journey, and I'm doing this one specific thing that I said for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't find that a life I want to live.
No, it's so...
And I know I made that about me, so that's ironic, hey?
Okay. So I know that I've said this before, and again, this maybe comes back to like some sort of internalized sexism that I haven't grappled with yet. But some of my issues with Diane Keaton films is when she's the scattered, harried, like constant Kathy character. Like it just...
Ack! How would I wear this bathing suit?
Oh my God! Yeah, like I hate it so much. Because I always find it like a little bit demeaning. So they give Diane Lane that kind of thing several times. Yeah. And particularly when she's chasing a high-speed car over, like, he's the boyfriend who's not her boyfriend.
Oh, rolling down the hill in her hat.
And she's rolling down the hill, and she's all muddy, and she's all... Again, that sad sack thing that you mentioned before, she, like, and so I at one point I was like, well, did they want to cast Diane Keaton? But they decided she was too expensive. Was Diane Lane the Diane Keaton light? That's
a very fair assessment. Yes, that's very much,
because is Audrey Wells the director? Going for that Nancy Meyers thing with the like remodeling and the kitchen and making everything beautiful and the shots of the food and is that who she's holding?
But that's
up?
why I like Nancy Meyers films as well.
Yeah, no, I know.
Just like looking at them.
Just like looking at them. Well, that's one of the really amazing things to me about Under the Tuscan Sun, and where I do think that Eat, Pray, Love, as much as I can and will, and I think like happily argue that it is the better of the two in terms of being a white woman on a journey of self-discovery movie based on a memoir. It is an ugly as sin movie, and Ryan Murphy who
we trusted from American Horror Story and Glee, and
he should be shot. Yeah, he should be shot.
Wow, that's extreme. Wow, because it's odd because I think we look to him for understanding women so well, like. In his recent Joan Crawford and Betty Davis.
No.
And you know what I mean?
I would like to rethink that, actually, because...
Okay, maybe.
I watched Feud.
Oh, and?
It's not good.
Oh.
It's terrible.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
He was good with the O.J. Simpson story. That was good. And the first season of Glee was fine, but I hated everything after that. So I am starting to... I'm not gonna go as far as to say that he's in, like, sort of suspect Joss Whedon territory. But I don't know how much.
But do you not feel
he
that maybe
likes
what
women.
what he likes is a certain kind of woman?
I think
A very fierce, independent.
But I like those women too, and
But you don't like this the same sort of gay icon kind of way, do you?
I think I do. I have a real affection for sort of those like.
There's a sense of tragedy that always has to come. There was no sense of tragedy in our Eat, Pray, Love woman.
There's no sense of tragedy there. But
No,
I mean,
she has no tragedy.
He co-wrote and directed this film, and it's so sloppy. It's so mind-numbingly dull. Pacing is awful.
Yeah, I agree with all of that.
It looks like it was made by a film student, not a man who in 2010 had already had a bunch of successful things.
It struck me
under
as
his
rather
belt.
uninspired and dull, also in terms of just doing Eat, Pray, Love. Like, it's literally just taking the book and not trying to fix, you know what I mean, do anything interesting with it, or say, you know what, film is a different medium than novel writing.
Well, I feel like Julia Roberts wanted to make this movie. She she loved this movie. Sure, she loved this book. Oprah loved this book. Everyone in the world was telling us that this is the book that will solve all your problems.
Yes.
2010 was a different time than 2017.
Well, I did read a review in the New Yorker of the film, and the reviewer was very charitable to say that he felt the book had more of a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And a bit more, a little bit more laughing at herself.
Yeah.
And recognizing that, is this really what I want to be doing? Is this who I am? Whereas the movie seemed to not have any of that.
The movie has no sort of
self-referential kind of, self-awareness. No.
And I just, Ryan Murphy does such a terrible job, and it's so frustrating to watch as a film. Like I would be very interested to see someone re-edit this movie down again to be a tight 90. I love. I just don't.
But leave all the Javier Bardem.
Yes. So the movie's basically just Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I mean, it was just there was
because he was delightful.
Yeah, he's delightful, but again, like he gets to just be sort of this collection of stereotypes as well.
No,
like,
I know, but I was okay with all of that. I was on my own personal journey. Of exploitation.
Like that cynical side that everyone sort of has begun to feel with like the backlash to Eat, Pray, Love. The backlash that has happened.
Yes.
There is an interesting point for me about that sort of presenting women's journeys as these like sort of like celebrations of commodification and capitalism, which is that these like and these both these movies sort of like to a certain extent highlight and celebrate those things. They don't worry about where the women are getting the money, but these women have money, and so therefore they are empowered to like go on these journeys. So really fascinating thing to me that I read on the Eat, Pray, Love wiki page, which has lots of links to lots of things. Marketers for the film created 400 merchandising tie-ins for Eat, Pray, Love.
Are you judging my Eat, Pray, Love prayer beads?
Yes, I
because
am.
They have brought me a great deal of satisfaction.
Jewelry, perfume, gelato machines.
My palazzo pants.
Indonesian bench.
Ooh.
There are prayer beads. There literally are.
Yeah, I know. I assume there are also those ugly pants, too.
Yeah, I'm sure there are, too.
Yeah.
The Home Shopping Network ran 72 straight hours of programming featuring Eat, Pray, Love products around the time of the film's release. You know, these are the things that make it difficult to embrace whatever potential... like sort of, you know, just, this is just a story. I'm just another woman telling her story. And I'm glad I have the opportunity because women's voices are oppressed all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, when there's a marketing tie-in of 400 items to your women's story, it's that weird.
No, wait a second. I'm rethinking my memoir now. If I was to write it in keeping with some cross-marketing purposes, maybe then I could drum up some interesting details. I mean, I don't cook now, but if I added that, if I learned to do it and put it in the book, could I have my own cooking line of cookware? Because I'll be honest with you. Can I tell you what I think would be like a super fun thing to do for a day? Is be on the QVC network and try and sell something.
Just anything.
I would like a challenge.
Not like that you specifically made. Or...
No, I would like to walk right in there, and I would like them to tell me that we have 3 bedazzled handbags with kittens on it. Go. And I would have to move all 50 or whatever, how many, units.
Yeah.
I would like to spend the next 3 hours constantly talking about those bags and having those models show them. And then I would like to continue. I would love that challenge.
That is a challenge. That is a challenge.
I watched Lisa Rinna from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills spend a solid 24 hours selling her cardigan duster. And, there are a lot of things that a lot of people brag about in terms of, like, running triathlons and marathons.
Yeah, QVC, 24 hours, yeah. Well.
On that note. So I would just, like, to
sort of summarize my feelings about Eat, Pray, Love. The wonderful writer from Ottawa, Sarah Hagee, who coined the phrase, "Lord, grant me the confidence of a mediocre white man."
Yes.
Elizabeth Gilbert has the confidence of a mediocre white man.
Ooh, ouch.
And she has made it work for her.
Yeah, but but also, to be a little bit more charitable to her, I also think that it's fair to say
You're defending the other movie.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay, this works for both.
Be charitable.
No,
yeah,
this works for both.
Mm-hmm.
If something is successful, so let's say the movie was more successful and the book was more successful, it's because it tapped into something. Mm-hmm. There was something being said in both of those stories that a large number of people felt.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to me because I don't really feel like I relate to either of them particularly.
But you watched them both.
I did watch them both.
Yeah.
Because, and a large part of that is just because I feel like, I generally like chick flicks or whatever, rom-coms. I do. Mm-hmm. I like them. But, I watched these and I saw them, but I don't, at the end of the day, I don't see myself in either of these people. Mm-hmm. Do you?
Oh, I mean, I think there's an element of myself that I see in both of them to a certain extent. I mean, that sort of like I worry that sometimes I can be pretty like inwardly focused. Mm-hmm. That everyone's a little like a character in a play that's me. My little world or something. I try really hard to like sort of break myself of that sometimes, and make sure that I'm not treating people as if they are sort of just actors in my little theater. Because that's, I think, a pretty like horrible way to think about people, and I don't think I do that. I think I weirdly am a very deeply empathetic and compassionate person. Under the Tuscan Sun, I think of like how what we lose in this moment being positioned as this act of desperation is that we don't get to see just how brave it is to be alone completely. And to, like, see her come into her own, to, like, figure out who she is. Like, I feel like we are shown maybe, again, this sort of, like, Hollywood stylized version of perhaps what her experience was in Tuscany. Because I think it can, like, I don't know. Like, I haven't been her specifically. I'd never bought a villa. But I've done that thing where I'm in something that's bad, and I've left my city, gone to a new city, and got a job and built a different life. So I could spend more time figuring myself out a little bit, you know? And there, like, it's not that, I don't know, brave is, I don't want to be, like, self-congratulatory or anything, but it feels like it takes some guts. And maybe that's guts cloaked in desperation to do that.
I guess,
but we only ever see that sort of frazzled Diane Keaton desperation. That's a terrible, poor Diane Keaton, because I actually like her quite a bit. But yeah, I feel like
I like her memoirs.
I've never read them.
I have.
But I feel like the film robs us a little bit, and it shortchanges Frances, the woman who actually wrote the book.
Yeah, it did. I guess I follow much more of a, I don't know if it's a Buddhist philosophy or it's the philosophy of a book I read by a Buddhist, and the title was Wherever You Go, There You Are. Mm-hmm. And I tend to feel that my circumstances have very little to do with who I am. I feel like I just transport that. Whenever I tried to move, I felt within 2 to 3 months I had set myself back up in that same situation. Same sort of friendship circle, same sort of places I was going.
Gotcha.
The same kind of, coffee, whatever I was doing.
Yeah.
It was a slow creep back to who I was there.
So you position that as like a backslide as opposed to an affirmation that this is who you are?
No, it's fine.
Oh,
I don't
okay,
mind being that person.
Yeah,
That's fine. I don't consider it a backslide.
Okay.
I'm just the kind of person that doesn't believe that moving to another place is going to change me.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
I don't think it necessarily has to. I don't think it necessarily changes you, but it can unstick you from a rut sometimes.
It could.
If you make that part of the intention of
sure, but I also
journey.
feel like here, if I decided that I wanted to challenge myself in my own home environment, I could do that as well. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I necessarily moving to a place where I don't speak any of the language is going to, you know what I mean? Anyway, it's why I didn't really relate as much to this story because it's just my own philosophy I brought to the movie.
Yeah.
I always, wherever you go, there you are is a creed of mine.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that I think I had mentioned that I wanted to like just bring up even briefly is just I had stayed away from these movies. I had, in my mind, there was nothing there for me because again, like just, I don't know, the kind of feminist I was in 2003 is vastly different than who I am now in 2017. And even 2010 versus 2017. I feel like I keep sort of, I don't know, I feel like I keep like growing, which ideally is what everyone does, it's just you keep evolving and you keep moving. And so, like, whereas I used to really just automatically assume there was nothing in these kinds of movies, again, that are positioned and sold to us as rom-coms or chick flicks, and chick flicks in that really pejorative, negative context, which is that, because they're about women's lives, there's nothing serious there that we can possibly extrapolate for the rest of humanity. Yeah. It's nonsense. It's completely nonsense. And I'm not a big fan of the term chick flick either. No. Like in my brain, because it just makes me.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree.
And so I think that's.
But then again, I don't want to dismiss women's issues as being unimportant as well.
But that's the thing. I feel like chick flick does that. It does that dismissal. Yeah. Whereas like. Or maybe I'm just getting caught up in labels. I don't know. But just the way that I see it used all the time, it's never in a good way. Yeah. Or almost never in a good way.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
And so the reason I stayed away from these movies for so long is just because I thought for sure there would be nothing there for me. But I mean, that's awful. That's like an awful way to think about these movies, because why wouldn't there be something there for me? Why wouldn't there be something there for anyone? So yeah, I don't know.
It's not even just a good recipe.
Or just something to get like upset about, or something to get like passionate about, or like, I mean, I am never probably going to be Elizabeth Gilbert's target audience, but I certainly am going to take aspects of her drive and
good point.
Admire them.
Yes, good point.
And like try to just sort of like not be so critical of myself when I think that I'm being self-involved.
Yeah, and I guess part of the Under the Tuscan Sun charm is the taking a chance.
Yes.
Is saying, what do I have to lose? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people's safety is super important. I would say that. If I had to say I took anything away from it, it's that that safe little world you make for yourself is great. There's nothing wrong with it. You can stay in it, right? Mm-hmm. I don't find mine as miserable as living in the Heartbreak Hotel with sad men that cry all night. So.
Well, and those golf pictures.
And the golf pictures. I don't feel the need necessarily to branch out so much from that.
Yeah.
But I do admire that spirit, especially from somebody who is afraid of everything.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to call this a tie. with maybe a little bit more of a bend toward Under the Tuscan Sun as being just a little bit more satisfying.
Oh, see, I was going to call it a sort of tie, but one in which maybe Eat, Pray, Love won a little bit because I think you spent
Wow.
most of the time defending and on board with Eat, Pray, Love.
With what you were saying about women, though, but I think you could translate those things to Francis as well a lot of times after a while.
Maybe after a while.
Maybe after a while.
Maybe after a while.
Maybe not.
But I think people just like really hate Eat,
Okay,
Pray,
well, let's
Love
just call it a draw. You both go. You guys can all go watch them. Get what you want out of it. Go on a journey.
And then apparently,
right back.
and apparently
or write
just-
a memoir.
And then go watch Wild, because apparently that's really where we should have been spending some time as well.
Well, you know, I've read that book. I've seen that film.
I wonder how many different positions we can, like, how many different situations we could possibly come up with where we're, like, positing one film versus the other, and then you just slide in a third, all cool and just, like, casual, just, like unholstering your weapon just casually in the middle of the conversation. I love it. I
Well,
love it.
we'll see what happens next time we do a battle royale.
Next time. We like to, would you say your movie pops?
To a very niche audience, I would.
I would say mine does not.
Okay.
I think it's just terrible.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and not necessarily through any fault of, weirdly enough, Julia Roberts or Elizabeth Gilbert.
Yes.
I place
Fair
a
enough.
lot of blame
Fair
on Ryan Murphy.
There
for
you
this
go.
one.
Fair enough.
We do love to leave our show on things we recommend.
Yeah.
Would you like to go first?
Sure. So I am right in the middle of the Netflix Marvel Comics Defenders.
Yes.
So
Like the show on Netflix,
the
not
show on
actual
Netflix.
comics.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah. So if you are a Netflix fan, you'll of course known that there was Luke Cage, there was Iron Fist, there was Jessica Jones, and there was Daredevil already. I think a couple of them already had 2 seasons and things. So this is all 4 of them together in a kind of Justice League situation.
Is it a series or a film?
No, it's a series.
Okay.
It's a series. And we have a great baddie of Sigourney Weaver.
Nice.
Yeah, and she is the really terrible, and she looks fantastic and elegant and scary as hell. And then we have Scott Glenn. We've got some real, like, the talent, like our superheroes.
Yeah.
I would say are not as well known actor wise. I
Yeah.
mean, if you watched Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
you will know Jessica Jones, the Jessica Ritter.
Yeah.
Not Jessica, sorry.
Kristen.
Kristen.
Kristen Ritter.
You will remember her from Jane. And if you watched Game of Thrones, you will know Iron Fist because he died in that. They all die eventually. I'm not giving up anything there. And I just found out that Daredevil is English. They just keep coming out of the,
The English actors?
yeah, and
Right.
you will never be able to tell.
Oh,
It
cool.
is something. So Charlie Cox was in The Theory of Everything.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was quite good.
Yeah.
And I watched the other series of Luke Cage. I do like superhero movies.
I like them too.
I really do like them, and I'm enjoying this. It's a bit predictable. So Iron Fist, very complicated character. I'm not. He seems kind of like an idiot.
Yeah.
That was born with money and privileged, and yes, sad circumstances a la Batman happened to him. His parents were murdered, and he was, unlike Batman, brought up in a Buddhist monastery and was taught the ways of the chi or something.
Good Lord. And this emboldened him with an iron fist?
Yes, he had the special chi or something, and when he gets really angry, kind of like Wolverine or something, right? This fist will work.
Okay.
But he's not really bright, and he has that annoying habit that is not smart of just telling, "I'm gonna take you down." No, don't tell them.
Yeah.
Don't tell. Act stupid. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But why do you just keep walking up to people and yelling, "I'm gonna take you down"?
Yeah, that's a bit embarrassing.
A little more clever.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the baddies just looks at him and says, "You're the dumbest Iron Fist ever."
Cool.
And I just remember even the other 3 of his cohorts going, that's probably right.
Well, I mean, maybe that's actually a good thing.
So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, super enjoying it. I like those I like being in a Netflix series where you kind of feel like you're in something.
Yeah.
And you want to get home and put it on again. It's all very dark and moody. And I really like Elektra, who people might remember from Daredevil, this really smart sort of actors. Anyway, I am enjoying it.
Cool. I am going to recommend, I don't often recommend newspaper features, but New York Times has a roundtable. This will be a few weeks old by the time this comes out, but in case anybody misses it, because there's just so much information, it's really hard to see. A roundtable and interactive feature, basically sort of subtitled, "Women are making the best rock music today. Here are the bands that prove that." And it features some great acts like Snail Mail and Sheer Meg and local band The Courtneys.
It's kind of like the NPR
props,
doing their top 100.
but they're specifically focused on young women who are basically under 30.
Okay.
And it's really wonderfully sort of intersectional. There's like it's so exciting and it's super interactive. So the way that they've even filmed it all looks a little bit DIY. A little bit like you've come to somebody's sort of like really beautifully designed like Tumblr page or something, or like short films. I don't know. It's really great. It's really, really great. And you could spend, I think, like a few hours in this piece.
Ooh, excellent.
And get to know all of these new bands. I've seen many of them live. They're so great. And they're such inspiring, like just such inspiring young women. And it's such an exciting piece.
The women are all right.
Oh my God, they're so good.
Excellent.
They're so good, and I love it so much. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. You could hang out with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram.
Thanks for listening. We record the podcast here in Vancouver at the Vancouver Public Library. Our producer is Andrea Gin.
And she has so much work to do with the end of this two-parter.
Boy.
Really appreciates how much we've laid on your plate, Andrea Gin. Thank you. And thanks, everyone, for listening.
Bye.